Thank you.
Welcome, everyone.
Morning.
Good afternoon, good morning, whether you're here on the East Coast, the West Coast, South Africa, or wherever. We're glad you're on the playbook today. Thanks for spending time with us. I'm David Severance, coach here at Chirag Shah Coaching. Today we're going to hear a video from Chirag where he's going to be talking about momentum and multipliers. Momentum being consistent action over time that benefits your business over time. Multipliers being extra things that you can do that enhance the effectiveness of what you're doing on a daily basis. So he'll talk a little bit about momentum and multipliers, mostly momentum this morning, today. And he's going to give us kind of a very simple framework and a way of thinking about who you should be directing your attention to, your marketing attention to. And he's going to give us a simple script for how you can connect with some of these folks. Now, before anybody asks, yes, the document that he's going to share is going to be available on the platform for anybody who has questions. We always make everything available that we share with you on the platform. So don't think that we'll ever show you something and you have to capture it in your own head within those 5 minutes or whatever. We share it with you because we want you to see what it's about and then know that it'll always be available to you afterwards. So we're going to have Herson run the video first. It's about a 15-minute video. And then after that, we'll have a little time to talk about what you heard. So give some thought to what this approach is like for you and see if there's something here that you would like to put into action either right away or after a little bit more thought. Herson, please.
Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. Today, we're going to continue on our theme of creating predictable client experiences. Look, as we start finishing up August and getting into the fall, remember your M&Ms, momentum and multipliers. Once you have momentum, the consistency of doing the same things every single day, remember, repetitious boredom is the key to growth in this industry. You want to find your momentum. What are the people, places, and things that will multiply your efforts? Now, before we get started and going through our session for today, I'll touch upon this more in the session, but I want everyone to get into the mindset of focusing on the activity versus focusing on the outcome. Now, let me explain the difference. If you have these outcomes in your mind, like I want to reach out to every single client, update their CRM, update their email, blah, 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 you're focused on this big outcome. Now, when we talk about M&Ms, momentums, and multipliers, now here's how this works. Momentum is consistency. Like when you start working out every single day over and over and over again, that's when you have the momentum, that's when you have the consistency, and that's when you feel great. And then you think about multipliers, right? Like coaches, great diets, different tweaks to your exercises, using accountability partners. All of these things then become multipliers. So when we say focus on the activity, let me explain to you how this essentially works. Now, if you focus on the activity and we set a 30-minute time block to complete something, the momentum comes from just completing the activity every single day. Because then in your mind, you're not tied to this ambiguous goal of everything. The reality is we all know everything is never going to happen. And the sooner we can accept that and move away from perfection and into progress, the better off we are. And I don't even look at it as progress. Perfection is like being in purgatory. You're just stuck because nothing in life is ever perfect. We're all our own perfect imperfections. So that's why I say just focus on the activities. It needs to be simple. Now, think about this of two schools of mindset. The first mindset is I need to reach out to 10 people. I need to update this and this, and I got to do this and this. And then you only get through 6. You're going to look at it as failing. I did not accomplish it. But you might have had 6 great conversations. You might have made impact on a client. In the end, you did something. But neuroassociation, the way you connect your brain from one thing to another, says that you failed. Now, if you focus on the activity and you just at 30 minutes have these calls, emails, whatever it is, you succeeded because you kept the promise you made to yourself. So let's get into this, and I want you to adopt that mindset across the board. Now, by the way, what I've been hearing in feedback is that you guys really like this format of teaching and discussion. And when I come back, this is something I will want to have in a conversation. We'll be sending out a survey because if this is the best format for everyone, it's one that we want to continue to have. Now, let's talk about creating predictable client experiences. So here's the doc that I put together for you guys, and let's go through this from the top. The first part, and this is not a prerequisite. So even if you omit this part, it is okay. But for those of us that want to build a foundation, this is something you want to work on. So this is something that if I was an agent, I did nothing, I would start setting a time block in my schedule 2 times a week to figure out the lifetime value of the customer. Now, if you look at the definition, it says the lifetime value of a client is a quantifiable way to keep track of your most valuable relationships. It'll allow you to prioritize outreach, know exactly who to spend your time with, and who are the most important relationships that drive business. Now, think about this. If you've got hundreds of clients that you work with, and some send you more business than others, not all relationships are the same. For those of us that have kids, you think about going to Dave & Buster's or any kind of arcade place, based on all the tickets you get, like the prizes that you essentially won, all the tickets you get from the games that you played, they're different categories of prizes. It's the same aspect of this. Based on how many referrals and how often your clients have transacted with you, there are different values to each relationship. So part of creating predictable client experiences is understand the experience you want to create based on each different category. Now, how does this work? The first step is to identify the value of a client based on the gross commission earned from the sale or the rent or the referral. Gross commission. Do not start factoring splits and this thing and that thing. Gross. $1 million sale at 3%. Thus, Aaron's lifetime value is $30,000. My great client from Boca, who we always use as an example for CRM, Aaron Buckbinder. Now, creating tags. The tags are based on a tiered system. Now, if your average commission check is $30,000, you make them in $30,000 increments, 0 to 30. So now Aaron has bought a house for me, and his sale price is $1 million at 3%. That's $30,000. You get the tag of 0 to 30. Now, Aaron Buckbinder's great friend is Levi Meyer, who lives in Miami, and now he wants him to live next door. So Levi buys another house for $1 million and commissions $30,000. So Levi now gets a tag of 0 to 30. Aaron referred me Levi, so I want to document in his notes section, they referred Levi Meyer, and there's another 30, and I'd make a note that said lifetime value now, $60,000. His initial tag drops off, the new one goes on. And this is how you understand how to prioritize your outreach. Now, predictable client experiences is all about what your clients can count on from you on an ongoing basis. Now, in our next session, we talk about milestones, anniversaries, and different things that you can do. We'll talk about the different types of predictable client outreach in tomorrow's session. For this, I wanted to keep it super simple, straightforward, and then open it up for discussion. Now, the next thing that we're all going to want to know is, great, Chirag, like if I haven't spoke to these people, what do I say? What do I do? And where are the emails? Now, a phone script is really simple. It's conversational, it's direct, it's to the point. And I would just start off. And if you want to say this, it's not in our exact script, but it's something you can do. I would say, hey, John, I was just in your old neighborhood, or I was thinking about you, and I had a few minutes before my appointment. And I just want to say, it's Chirag from Compass. I'd say, hey, John, it's Chirag from Compass. Just drove by your neighborhood, had a few minutes before an appointment. I was thinking of you. How are you? John, great. How are you doing? Doing great. It's been a good summer, went by fast. How's your summer been? It's been great. They'll share what they're talking about. And then I want to drop it in. Wanted to check in and let you know that we're working on adding more value to our community. There's a difference between being a client and being part of a community. We all want to be part of a community. Like we always say to all of you, we don't have clients, we have a community. Now, I would say we want to be value to our community and wanted to make sure that blank, insert the email address of whatever you have on file, or ask them what the email address is, was still the best for you. Pause. The client will give you an answer and says, I would say, perfect. While I have you on the phone, if this is for a buyer, what would you find most helpful if we would be able to share that would save you looking around on the internet for in the community? Think about that. It's a very simple answer. Your clients, like we always say that a home is where you build your memories and a community is where your life happens. Now, these people are constantly looking around on the internet for random strangers for things that you have great contacts for. They're going to answer and you just end the conversation. Perfect. We'll make a note of this and keep this in mind anytime we see whatever it is they said come up. End of conversation. Really simple. Same thing for a seller. You go through the same framework down to, perfect. While I have you, what information would you find most helpful that we'd be able to share with you? The client will tell you whatever it is. Perfect. We'll make a note of it and keep this in mind anytime we see blank. Remember, you're going to want to update this in the notes section of the CRM, and you're going to want to log the activity. Now let's go to the next part, the email script for buyer. Hi, John. I hope you're having a great summer. One of our initiatives in the fall is adding more value to our community and wanted to make sure I had the best contact number and email for you. When you have a moment, simply reply to this email and let us know the best email and number for you. What would you find most helpful that we would be able to share that would save you time looking for on your own on the internet within the community? So what would you find most helpful that we'd be able to share with you that would save you time looking for on your own on the internet within the community? And that's it. If there's anything I can help you with, feel free to reach out to my personal cells and drop your number in. Done. Same thing with seller, right? And it's the same script. What's the email? What's the best way to help you? What information would be most helpful for you what would be most helpful for you that I could, what information would be most helpful for you that I could share now and in the future? If there's anything I can help you with, feel free to let me know. Feel free to let me know. My personal cell is this. That's it. It is really a simple process. Obviously, we'll edit this for grammar. And the next thing is step 3, document everything. You need to log the activity in your CRM. You need to save in notes what the client said would be most valuable and any other notes for the call. And the bonus, you want to set up Google Alerts. Google Alerts are the easiest way to get the best information delivered in your inbox. And think of it being a DJ. DJs don't create music. They find the best music and they share it with everyone else. Now, you can find articles, emails, new restaurant openings, gym openings, and this is where bulk mail works really effectively. And you create tags based on what the people find most valuable. Now, step 4, the outreach plan. Create time blocks in your calendar for outreach. I would block the time off between now and the end of the year. You want to go into next year with your CRM fully updated. And remember, if you have 10,000 people known as 10,000 personal relationships, clean out 5 a day, or use your filler time when you're sitting on appointments and make your Instagram time and TikTok time go down and your Compass app time go up. If I was sitting at an appointment, I had 10 minutes waiting for a client, I just go to the organize button in my CRM, I start cleaning the whole thing out. You have no idea how much time is wasted every single day doing nothing. Remember, a 5-minute task on 300 times a year is 25 hours. If you spent an extra 5 minutes a day just cleaning out your CRM, that'd be 25 hours at the end of 300 days. Double it, you cut the days in half. So if you spent 10 minutes a day, now it becomes 150. If you spent 20 minutes a day, it becomes 75. If you spent 40 minutes in a day, it becomes 37. Right? Think about that. 37 days to spend 25 hours cleaning this out. Done. So we talk about M&M, right? M&M's is the momentum of consistently doing activities. Multipliers is understanding how to work and utilize time. This is why there's certain people that are so productive in a day and others that are not. We are all left with the same 24 hours. Check the screen time of your phone and you realize there's 6 to 8 hours that you spend on your phone. The next thing that I want you to do, and this is the aspect of performance coaching, is it's really interesting. If you're up 15 hours a day, roughly, times 60 minutes, that's 69, it's 900 minutes. If you pick up your phone 225 times a day or 200 times a day, even 100 times a day, let's say, and that's low for most people given how many notifications they have, you're picking up and looking at your phone once every 9 minutes you're awake. How the hell are you ever supposed to really focus and get anything done if once every 9 minutes you're distracted? It makes no sense. You need to control the time, control your relationship with your phone, and control your productivity. We're entering a market where there's more opportunity than you'll ever find anywhere else. Remember, the richest people were created in economic recessions. As the rates go up, the morale of people and agents are going down. People just don't even know what to do at the time. You guys are smart and are here and have invested into yourself, into the future, into great habits, systems, structures, community, accountability, role play. It's a whole different world. Number two, during the time, alternate days between phone and email. I would do 2 30-minute time blocks. One, I'd fire 30 minutes of calls. So remember the pre-frame, I just had a few minutes. I have an appointment at blank or an appointment in blank. So it creates a time frame for the conversation. And then the other one, I would just do emails and focus on the activity, not the outcome. Just do it for 30 minutes in time. Whatever you get, you get. If you want to be smart about how you use your time, you don't get stuck on the phone with certain clients. They'll just talk to you forever about nonsense. Now, third one is, look at the lifetime value of your clients once you have this. And if you don't, again, I would just pick 5 people a day and just go back and just start creating those tags and start with the most recent ones and work backwards. And it's all about completing the activity. So today was short, sweet, direct, to the point, and I'll go through this. Lifetime value of the customer. We have phone scripts, we have email scripts, document everything, and you have a simple outreach plan. And look, if you're stuck, get a buddy that's on this call and you guys both set up those 2 30-minute time blocks for accountability and just look, literally looking at each other like this, you cannot mess around. I remember during my time at Compass, I would have some accountability partners that were employees when I had to do work, and I know they had project work. They had, I think it was called Blue Jeans back then that they used for all of this. And we would just sit on a Blue Jeans and we would spend an hour, 2 hours. We'd schedule sometimes breaks every 50 minutes, stop for 10 minutes, just chat, connect, and then get back to work. So these are simple ways to do it. So we'll open up for discussion. And as always, with love in my heart, I love you all. Find your M&Ms, momentums, and multipliers. And tomorrow we'll start talking about milestones, outreach, and all that other fun stuff. Happy Monday, everybody.
Okay, let's consider and talk a little bit about what we heard there. So first I have a question for everybody. It's kind of a 3-part question. So there's 3 different answers here. I'd like to know where you are with the lifetime value of a customer. Do you know how it works and do you use it? That answer would be a yes. Do you know how it works, but you don't use it? That would be a no. And if you're not quite clear how it works, that would be confused. Could you please put yes, no, or confused into the chat, just so I can see where everybody is on lifetime value of a customer, please. Okay, looks like everybody's in the yes or no category. So it looks like it's about 50-50 or so. Thank you. So I'm really curious, for those of you who are aware of it and are not including it in the way that you target people, what's getting in your way? What's the block or the barrier there that's getting in your way of using a framework like that? Please put that in the chat just so I can get a sense. See, Luciana says I'm using A, B, and C instead. I get that. Who else? What's getting in your way? What is it that holds you up from using that particular way of categorizing or understanding your clients? Just sitting down and doing it. That's one, certainly. I get that. What else? What gets in your way here? Because it's not difficult, right? I mean, Chirag explains it. It's quite a simple, straightforward process. And you understand the value of it, right? I mean, this is the opportunity that you have to get really clear about who you need to market to. It's always a big question. Who should I be marketing to? You know, if you liked fishing and there were 10 ponds that you could fish in, and this fish in this pond, you fished it before, you've caught 100 fish. In the second pond, you've got 50 fish. In the third pond, you got 10 fish. And all the rest of the ponds, you got 0 fish. Which pond would you go to today if you wanted to catch some fish? Go to pond 1 or maybe with pond 2, right? Because it's clear in your mind that's where the fish are. So there's an opportunity here for us to understand, are we using our time and our marketing dollars effectively? Are we fishing in a fruitful pond? Or are we spending a lot of our time and limited resources fishing somewhere where we're just not going to catch any fish? It's very easy to send out a postcard or something to 1 million people, but obviously the yield there is pretty low. And the question is, are you focusing attention on places that you're going to get relatively low yield? And maybe more important, are you overlooking the places that might be the most fruitful place for you to be spending your limited time and funds? So it's something to think about as you go forward, because, when people come to me and they say, who should I market to? The first thing that's got to be a part of that plan is the people who know you and care about you, because anyone who's come to you before, they see something in you. They like the way that you serve them. They like the way that you speak. They like the way that you're committed to them, whatever it is. They've bought into what it is you're offering. And especially someone who's come to you twice, either they've recommended somebody else to you, or they came back to you for another sale later, or even they just called you up one day and said, hey, do you know a good carpenter in the neighborhood? These are people who are saying indirectly, I value you. And the last thing you want to do is lose those people off your radar. And so this is one easy way for you to think about who those people are. And as Chirag said, you can just start with, last year's sales and just work your way backward from there. Just assign, your average GCI, gross GCI for each of those folks, and just go back in time. It's very easy to do. It doesn't have to replace an ABC method. It could, certainly, it could, but it's another way of thinking about, am I focusing my attention on the right people? Because if you're not, you're just spinning your wheels. All right, second thing I wanted to ask you about is this focus of process and results. I really want to ask you, are you appropriately focused on the process in your business? And I ask that because if the answer would be yes, then I would say you must be someone who has a clear strategy and a clear plan, and you follow through and execute that plan flawlessly. If to take another example, you wanted to get into shape, let's say, and you say, I want to get in shape in 6 months. And I'd say, okay, great. So what's your plan for doing that? You got a gym membership? Or you're going to run? Are you going to play tennis? Or what are you going to do? And how often are you going to do it? If you come to me and you say, oh yeah, I got a plan to get in shape, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week, and I play pickleball in the evenings on Tuesdays, and, I do XYZ meditation or whatever it is. And I've done it, 5 days a week for the last 27 weeks. I'd say you're focused on process in a way that gives you results. But if you don't have a plan, a workable, doable plan, or you're not following through on a workable plan, then from my point of view, you're not focused enough on process. You see, it's easy to be focused on goals. I have clients who come to me all the time, and especially at the beginning of the relationship, they say, I want to do 10 million this year. I want to do 20 million this year. I want my team to do 50 million this year. And that's really good. But the question is, how are you going to get there? Right? The only way you get there is through some kind of a process, through some kind of a series of actions and behaviors that are done in the right way, at the right time, for the right reason. And over time, all of those little things build up to something. No agent ever comes to me and says, every agent comes to me and says, I want to do 10 million this year. No agent ever comes to me and says, I want to do a time block every Monday for an hour, and I want to execute that perfectly for the next 52 weeks. Nobody ever focuses on process like that. I've never heard an agent say that to me. It's always about the results of the practice. And so when I say, why are we not doing time? Why do we not follow through on time blocks, or why do we not organize our work in a way that makes it, clear and efficient for us to be, focused on both momentum and multipliers? Then what it reveals to me is we haven't necessarily thought through that stuff enough to have a process that we can follow through. So let me ask you, yes or no, do you feel that you think appropriately enough about process versus results? Please put that in the chat. All right, got it. So that's what I expect to hear, because that's what I hear from all of you all day. We keep hearing that the folks, everybody's working hard and we're working long. Are we working on the right things at the right moment in time? Or do we set up time blocks for ourselves? We say, I really need to do this next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And then next Wednesday comes at 10 o'clock and we choose to do something else, right? We've taken ourselves out of our own plan. Just as if we say, I'm going to go to the gym next Wednesday, and the next Wednesday comes, you don't go to the gym. And at the end of the 6 months, we haven't lost those 10 pounds, or we haven't gotten in shape, or whatever the goal is. So I'd like to ask a couple of folks, thinking about how possible this is to do. And Chirag just gave you a very simple process. Even if you're not doing, lifetime value of a client, you can still reach out to everybody, and you can use either of those scripts for a verbal phone call or for an email. I'd like to hear from a couple of you who feels inspired or motivated or capable of doing what it is he just laid out. I'd like to ask a couple people to come off mute for just a minute, please. Luciana, can you tell us a little bit about what's in your comment there and what today's call, if it has some kind of an impact on you?
Yes, it does. Well, what I'm doing is I started doing my process, and I incorporated one routine, and then I'm doing it consistently. And then, I'm trying to add another one so that I can just add on to the process. Having all my processes in place, but not everything at once. I have to get into the routine of doing consistently. And then now I'm ready. I'm adding another one.
All right, got it. Thank you.
Because I did find that I block the time, and then when I see I do one day, I don't do the other day. So now I'm blocking the time for one thing, doing consistently before I add another thing.
Yep, got it. Thank you, Luciana. So, one way to assess ourselves is you could just ask yourself, how much of my life is spent in routine and how much of it is spent in flying by the seat of my pants? And we're talking about professionally, right? Professionally here. Because if you set up routines, whether that's time blocks or phone calls or meeting people or whatever it is, but you're not actually following through on it, then you're not really in routine. You're actually in, I'll just do whatever I need to do right now today because these are the circumstances I'm facing. And over time, there's a very, very low limit to the effectiveness of your business if you're never in any kind of a routine. Almost anything that you want to build over time takes that consistent application, whether you want to learn to speak a foreign language, or you want to learn how to play golf, or you want to learn how to play the piano. These are not things that you can put off or you can get like from one magical, session, right? There's the consistent application of time is the only way for you to get there. And so when Luciana says that she's, putting one habit together with another, that's sometimes called habit stacking. So if you've ever read the book Atomic Habits or The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, those are two books that you can read that can give you some things to think about creating a set of useful habits that you can kind of rely on more consistently. But if you're the person who's, always caught out of your routine because of what's happening to me today, I can't do this because, I can't do that because, I can't do that because, then what we're saying is all those important things are getting overruled by whatever it is that seems urgent at this moment in time. And we certainly don't want the urgent to overrule the important very often. In fact, if that's what's always happening, then we're not running the business as well as we could possibly, right? There has to be some balance between routine. And then, of course, sometimes things happen and we have to come out of our routine to fix a particular problem. But if that's what we're doing every day, then we're missing the value of having a routine in the first place. Let's hear from one more person, please. I'm just curious to hear from a person who may not be doing something like this and heard something in Chirag's video that makes you say, let me try this. It's time for me to do something like this. Who on the call had that kind of a feeling as they were listening to this? Okay, Miriam, can you just come off of mute for just a minute? I just want to ask you a little bit about that. Miriam's saying, I'm going to do the time blocks. Miriam, what's a single step that you're thinking of taking as a result of this discussion today?
I'm now actually seriously just going to put that time block and just do it. Needs to be done, because one of the things that I'm slacking at is making notes on my clients, and it's like I need to get my stuff together, get this going. And yeah, you're right. It's like the routines that make it happen. And that's where, and I think also setting up a routine, once it's a routine, gets done. If it's not a routine, it's much harder to do. And I think that's one of my probably challenges. I need to just set those as a routine. And I think the 30-minute time blocks for this are easy to keep. If you put them in, they're easy to keep as a routine.
So my suggestion is for you, Miriam, and for everyone, start with one. Make one promise to yourself. Don't like go into your calendar and put in 50 time blocks. Put in one, and maybe it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever amount of time that you want. Remember what Chirag said, it's not about making 10 calls. It's about setting up some time and just making the calls that you're able to make during that time. That's the difference, right? If you say you're going to make 10 calls, but you only get to 6, you might feel like, oh, I didn't do it. I didn't do so well, and maybe I give up. But if it's, I'm going to put 15 minutes in my calendar and I'm just going to make as many calls as I can make in 15 minutes, then I can complete the 15 minutes and say I did it. And maybe I got some good results. Maybe I didn't today, but at least I followed through on the promise that I made to myself. And just document. If you're documenting what's happening there, remember the whole purpose here is for you to create a predictable client experience. And for them to have that, you need clients, obviously, and you need to understand what it is that they think is important, which is why you ask the questions that are in the script there. And when you do that, then you're setting yourself up for a further communication with them down the line that they will find value in. And it's simply a matter of using a simple dialogue like this, a simple script like this, and documenting what happens. Yeah. Okay, folks, we're over. Yeah, something to say, Miriam?
Yeah, I was saying, because I do routinely send out a monthly postcard with some valuable information on it, and I do get listings from that postcard because being inconsistent. So the secret is the consistency.
Yep, got it. You're going to spend the money and you're going to spend the time, and whether you do it in a planned and purposeful way or an unplanned and unpurposeful way, you're going to make the cost. You may not get the benefit. Okay, everyone. So thanks for being with us today. So nice to see you. Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.